Welcome to the Inspired Impact Podcast, where dedicated female professionals share how they inspire impact every day. Authentic stories, passionate commitment, lives transformed. I'm your host, Judy Carlson. Welcome to today's episode of the Inspired Impact Podcast. I could hardly wait to introduce you to the woman that we're talking with today. She is an impressive business owner, but most of all, she has a huge and generous heart for her family, her friends, her customers, the community. I am so excited to introduce you to Lasinda Lingafelter-Crane. Did I say that right?
You said it so perfect. Oh my goodness. What an introduction. Who are you talking about? You're too much. So good to be here.
It's
oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
So as I do with all my podcasts, I want to hear from you. Where did you get started? How did you get started? Tell us a little bit about your journey, what inspired you to do what you're doing today. And clearly you're making an impact. So let's hear about it, Lasinda.
Well, I appreciate that very much. First I want to say it's just an amazing thing to be here on this podcast. Podcasts are such a impactful avenue anymore. And what you're doing, even with your business, is just also just as amazing. So you impact lives too. And I'm very proud to be here today. So thank you for that. Yeah, this is definitely a crazy world in restaurants. And I never, ever, ever would have imagined myself in this line of work. In fact, I didn't even touch foot into working in a restaurant until I was probably late 20s, probably like 28, something like that. And I tell you what, I fell in love with it. The connection that you have with the people, the customers, you meet everybody, you meet every personality. It's such a gratifying line of work. Yes, sometimes you do have some down days, some upset folks, what have you. But what you take away from it, seeing how you impact others to make their day, their night better, just because they walked in your doors, that's something right there. And yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so fulfilling for you, right, Lasinda?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's so fulfilling. It really is. And, when I started in the business, did I think I was ever going to own my own restaurant? No way. No way. I accidentally got into the coffee world. And there was a coffee shop down the street from my house in Highlands Ranch. We've been here 24 years, and it was called Peaberry Coffee. And I used to go there with my girlfriend, with my kids when they were babies, because you could go there, sit down in couches. This is before Starbucks even had, the couches and the chairs and the things. And this place was lovely. And they treated me and my friends and everybody else there like they were part of it. And I said, okay, this is what I want to do. Literally, I said that to my best friend. I said, this is what I'm going to do. I had an interview there. I got hired there, and I went on to run the Peaberry Coffee at Cherry Creek Mall. And it was the start of my career in coffee. And that led me to the Ebar at Nordstrom. And I tell you what, I found my career. That was it. I'm like, we're done. I'm solid, done. I was so happy, fulfilled. I laughed every day. I impacted lives every day. I made coffee every day. It was awesome. But, life has a way of turning things around on you without telling you.
Yeah,
Shame on that life.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's crazy because when you think it's the worst day of your life, and I had that. And I get a little emotional when I think about it, when I talk about it, because it was a day that I won't bore you with the details, but something happened that made me leave that job. But because of that, I now have Cranelli's Italian restaurant.
Oh,
it's huge. I mean, I'm emotional, but in a happy way, because that led me and my husband to be able to start that journey of getting a business plan together, getting a small business loan, finding the space, getting things organized. And all of a sudden we had a spot, but then we didn't, because the spot wasn't going to work. It was in Highlands Ranch. It was the old Starbucks over there by the library.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a shell. Starbucks had taken every single thing out of it, went on to their big location down the street by Town Center Target. And we couldn't afford to put in hood systems and all those things. And I went home that day, the exact same day that I was told no on that spot. And I went onto Craigslist. I looked for restaurants for sale. Why I did that, I don't know. It was it literally just went into my head. And I said, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I found our spot that we're in now, literally that day. I drove down there that day. As soon as I was driving, I'm like, where is this spot? I know it, but I don't know it. And as I'm driving, as I'm pulling up on Park Meadows Drive, I went, shut up. I have driven by here for years when I would backdoor it to go to the mall when it was holiday time or what have you. And that was an easier way to get there from Lincoln. You take Park Meadows, it takes you back down to Yosemite. And as soon as I pulled in, I stared straight at this location. And it was a restaurant. It's like a fast food joint. And it was called Chicago R Dogs. Crazy name. And they were selling Chicago dogs, but they incorporated Asian food, which was kind of their downfall. But you know what? It was my uprising because they wanted somebody to come in, take over the lease, and it was a turnkey, and it happened. We made an offer, and in November of 2013, we signed the paperwork. We went in that same exact day, started gutting the place, cleaning it, rearranging it, remodeling it, doing everything. And it became fruition December 26th of 2013.
Oh my gosh.
And here we are. We're going into our 12th year on December 26th. Yeah. How cool is that?
It's so cool. It's so emotional. December 26th. I mean, I remember those December 26th anniversaries, and now you're going into your 12th year.
I know it. And you and Britta, you've been a part of this ride the whole way. And we now work with you. You guide us on our financials. I mean, how cool is that full circle? Come on.
Man. Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I don't normally tell stories in my own podcast, but every time Britta and I had one little celebration, like we got new business cards, we'd come into Cranelli's and sit at the bar and celebrate.
Yes, you sat at the old bar, you sat at the new bar, and every single time you guys had a life challenge or a life success, you were always in that restaurant. Yep. We celebrated together. We hugged each other. We got through the bad times, and look at us. Look at us, thriving women.
Amen, sister.
Oh my gosh. It's just an exciting world we live in right now.
It sure is. So partway through your journey, your restaurant is overflowing and you started making plans to expand. Tell us a little bit about that journey, because the economy threw a little loop into that one too.
Oh, come on. Not really. No. No, it was kind of crazy because, ironically enough, in November of 2019, we were sent an email by Waterford, which is the leasing company that, has the condominiums around us. And they gave us an offer and said, hey, we'd love for you to take over the space next door, where the salon used to be. And I was like, yeah. That there was no other, that was my first response. The only other thing I said was, I don't want all of it though, because it's so big. It literally was 2 times the space of my original space. Mm. And I was like, no, I'm not going to get that big. So we took over half of it, and all of a sudden COVID happened, March of 2020. Mm-hmm. And what do? We're already signed contracts. We've already got a GC. Mm-hmm. What do we do? Oh my God, restaurants are closing to the public. We have to now pivot and go to takeout and delivery. And I thank God every day for the experience we have, because of that experience, and also my passion, the passion that we have towards the restaurant, because a lot of folks were already kind of in that, like, oh gosh, maybe this is the push I needed to just stop. or, retire or whatever. Right. But you had to have the experience. You had to have the passion. And the decision we made at that time was, okay, we already deliver. We used to deliver within a mile, not anymore. We just can't do that anymore. But at the time I said, okay, let's deliver up to 12 miles. And then our staff delivers all the food, because I did not want anybody touching my food. I just didn't. And because they don't care. They don't care about it, And so my staff, not one person lost their job. They ended up making more money than they've ever made before, because the community was just incredible. And we found cities that never even knew about us, because I went to that 12-mile reach. And it was a radius, by the way. So that can go up to 13, 14 at times. Oh. And because of that, folks found us, so that when we did return back to business at 50%, then 75, and so on and so on, all of a sudden I had people coming in from Kiowa. I had people coming in from Roxborough. I had people coming in from the furthest south end of Parker. It blew our minds. And now here we are, 4 years later, and we are in our new renovated space. It's now 3.5 years old. We still were able to renovate it. People that came into the restaurant watched it in its action, watched it going on with the blue tarp up. And it's so funny because I kept pushing the blue tarp back. As we would finish more and more in that new space, I'm like, well, I can probably put 2 more tables. I can put 3 more tables. But it was a learning curve. My kitchen got their little booties handed to them. And it was a learning curve. But like all things, right? You have to go through the bumps and bruises to learn. If you don't, you do not come out on the other end. You have to make mistakes. You have to cry a little. You have to, you just have to go through it. So,
wow. Yeah. I mean, you got to seize the moment, though, like you guys did, for sure. And I mean, I remember when we would call in, during COVID for a meal, and there was many nights where you were already sold out for people coming in to pick up meals during COVID, and those who got on the schedule, we'd stand inside that restaurant 6 feet apart and wait for our names to be called, and we became our own community.
You're so right, though. I mean, I remember the first day after they shut everything down. It was the very first day. And the one thing we didn't think about was, oh my gosh, every person that's calling in is a 2-top, a 4-top, a 6-top, a 2, and we didn't time it. We weren't thinking about that. And all of a sudden we had 50 orders that all had to be up within 30 to 45 minutes. And I've never been scared before like that. Like, it takes a lot for me to hide in my kitchen and not come out. And I hid in my kitchen. I thank God for the staff I had. We pulled out bottles of wine. We went out there and we said, who wants some wine while you're waiting? I mean, I had people wait 2 hours. 2 hours. And, yes, people got mad, but we got through it. And, it was a learning curve. But just like I said, like anything, you've got to get through it. You got to do all those things to move forward and make yourself better. So.
Yeah, I mean, you plowed through it, and that's what allowed you to do what you were able to do and build the community so far out that you were able to build. And I mean, if I mention something, you want to meet at Cranelli's? Oh, I love Cranelli's. That's my favorite place. It's just on everybody's radar scrn. So
I think the one thing that was so important for us in the beginning was, what the slogan we have is, where you'll belong.
Oh, wow.
And we couldn't use the where everyone knows your name, because, of course that's taken, but it's where you'll belong, and it's where you belong, because I think what's lacking in our society, especially after COVID, is that gratitude, that feeling that you can give to somebody for walking in your doors, for purchasing a gift card. I tell my servers and my staff all the time, you do not know what somebody's walking in those doors. You don't know what they just went through. Right. They could have lost their job 2 days ago. They could have lost their mom. They could just be pissed off at life because maybe somebody tailgated them and whatever. Our job is to try and make it the best experience they can for the next hour and a half to 2 hours, and leave feeling like somebody took care of them, somebody acknowledged them and made them feel valued. And that's what it's about in any business, not just restaurants, in any business. And it's hard to find anymore. It really is.
And what you need to do, or what you do to instill that into your employees, is absolutely phenomenal. But I guess there's a secret sauce that you guys use to find the right employees who are, doing that and helping them with their customers, because, man, do you have loyal employees.
Oh my gosh, it is remarkable. And I appreciate you saying that. And I'll tell you what, the secret sauce is you have to be involved. It takes leadership. And if you're not leading by example, and if I'm not there, and Aaron, my general manager, who's also my best friend, and he's been a part of my world since Nordstrom, and if you don't have the right people at the top that lead by example and will wash a floor, that'll clean a toilet, that will bus a table, that will take an order at a table, then what's the point? What are you doing? You're not a manager to just sit in the office and wait for things to happen. Get your butt out there and meet everybody. That's how I know that every single day I have about between 40 to 50% of brand new customers, because personally, I'm out there. Aaron is personally out there talking to tables. Lexi, Jessica, they're all out there saying, hey, what brought you in? What are you celebrating tonight? Or just connecting and saying, how's your day? I mean, it's so valuable. It really is.
Yeah, I love it when you're there when we come in.
Oh, you're so sweet. I love it when I'm there too. We have a good time, don't we?
We do. Now, there's another addition next to the restaurant.
That's right.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Well, funny enough, you remember when I said, they first offered us the space, and I said, oh, no. I don't want all of it. That's too big.
Right.
Well, now we have the other side, and we were graciously offered that space to take it over from the existing place that was there. They were just kind of using it as storage, but we took it over, and it is now our catering space. We've always done catering since the beginning, and it's always been a part of our world. But we have really seen a progress, a movement that far exceeds anything we would have ever expected in the past year. Lexi has taken over our catering business, meaning she's my manager, and she now is in charge of it. I was the person for 10 years, and now she has been the person for the last year, a little over a year. And she's taken it to places that is just magnificent. And because of this space, this catering space, Catering by Cranelli's, we're now able to take the prep, the cooking out of our kitchen for the regular restaurant, and it now is in its own existence in that space. Oh. So like last weekend, no joke, it was nuts. I mean, we're in the season, right?
Right.
We had over 100 pans of pasta and food go out of that kitchen on Friday and Saturday. And if we didn't have that kitchen, oh my gosh, we probably would have made it happen, but I don't know how. I really don't. It's just incredible to think about the expansion and the growth, where we've gone and where we still want to go. We've still got a lot of things we want to do, and we've got a lot of people around us to support us. So hang on, the ride's not over.
Woo! I can't wait to hear. This is exciting. Woo!
Well, you're part of it. You're the one helping us with financial stuff and making sure we have our retirement taken care of. So, hey, if this doesn't work, at least we know we're taking care of it, when we're older. So
true.
It takes a team, it takes a village, and you're part of our village. So I'm just grateful to be on the ride.
And your catering business, I mean, I've known or seen pictures like in the mountain towns and widespread.
Oh, yeah. We go everywhere. We've been to Vail. We've been up to Silverthorne. We go Idaho Springs. We go everywhere. If you need us to go and bartend, serve, we've got you covered from rentals to venue to everything. Mm-hmm. Yep. So all you got to do is call us. I think what I want to say about our catering is that it's unlike anything else you'll find. And yes, there are some good places out there. I will say that, and they do a great job. And what sets you aside from just the norm is the fact that when we go there, we own it as though it were our own catering. It is that's our event. We want it to be perfect.
Yep.
And, that's what it's about. It's about picking up on your customers. And, if they want you to kind of be a part of that event, to help get people involved and what have you, that's what we're going to do. If you want us to kind of step back and just be in the background, that's what we're going to do. But we're going to talk to you about that. We're going to make sure we communicate. And that's the biggest deal right there, is just really connecting, human connection.
Right. I mean, when we did our big catering event with Cranelli's for one of our movies this past year, I was astounded. You're going to bring in, wine. And then I'm like, oh, you bring up in the pop-up bar that goes along with serving the wine.
We want it to look professional. We want it to be, personal. And Lexi was behind there serving the drinks, and your event was great. Legacy campus over there is fantastic. We were their first approved caterer over there at Legacy over off of Lincoln. It's just that's part of what Lexi's done. It's just getting out there and talking, because everybody needs food. I mean, for every occasion, right?
Yep. Now, we haven't even touched on your charitable mindedness, Lasinda, because everywhere we go, there's Lasinda chipping in. There's Lasinda doing something special there. I mean, it's unbelievable. So tell us how that part of your heart has brought such soul fulfillment for you.
Well, you're sweet to say all that. I appreciate it. My motto has and will always be is, you can't get without giving. You just can't. And if we can't support the community around us by doing the give back nights or donating gift cards for the silent auctions, in any capacity, then what's the point of existence? I mean, some people might say, well, to make money and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you're right. But my soul feels better when I give, when I do things, because I can make an impact. If I can impact one life a day by just something, a smile, a talk, giving something away because it's going to impact other lives, then do it. That's what we're about. We're here on this earth for a very short time. None of us know how short, how long. Impact the lives around you, because it'll change your life. And, Cranelli's is, we're not superstars. We do what we do. And, I've got almost 100 employees I have to take care of as well. But the motto is always about taking care of others so that the community is involved with us. They see it. They want to support us so that we don't go anywhere and we can continue. I just had that. It's funny. My son's Niko, his third grade teacher, Crystal Wood, who's now the principal of Arrowwood. She was a teacher there way back when. Niko's 22 now, so that tells you how many years she's been a part of it. Yeah. But she just sent in a catering request the other day. Tomorrow we're feeding all the teachers at Arrowwood. It's that connection right there. You may not see everybody all the time. You may not see them in once a week or once a month, but everybody remembers to come back. And, like we just had Santa in on Saturday. We had a friend of ours, Debbie, who this was our 4th year doing this with her. And she comes in, she's a realtor. She comes in, she does an open house. And it's that thing right there where people remember. And if you're not out there helping them to remember you, you're doing it wrong. Yeah. Quite simply. Yeah. But
wow.
It does. It just makes you feel good. And I know when I started in Lone Tree with the restaurant, I volunteered with the Lone Tree Chamber, and then I became a board member, because that was such a great way to connect and meet people. And you just have to get out in your community. I always tell everybody, get with your chamber. Your chamber is the best way for you to get out there and connect and meet people and let them know about you so they can tell other people about you. It just starts with you. You just got to talk.
As a female professional, you have risen. You are rising. Has there been any time where it's been challenging at all, or has? Oh, yes.
Yeah. It pains me to say, but we still live in a man's world. And whatever, it is what it is, but if I choose to be ugly and irrelevant about it, then that's on me. And I live in that hateful world. So I'm going to try not to live in that world. Right.
Yep.
Hard to sometimes. But, have I had to have my husband take over in certain scenarios along the years? Yes, I have, because I take things so personally. And fortunately, men have a way of just keeping black and white. Some women can do that too. And I applaud those women, because I wish I could be black and white and just kind of not let things bother me. Mm-hmm. But I get too emotional because it's my family, my life, my people.
Right.
But I've dealt with some men, especially being with the chamber and, just kind of dealing with those egos. But, I just remember where I'm at and where I've come from. And I just forge forward. You just can't live in that ugly place. Because if you do, it's only bothering you. They have no idea you're in that place. You're the only one.
Yep, they sure don't. And it's difficult. It is difficult as women to live in the black and white. I'm so thankful that you have, Jimmy and tell me a little bit about his background and what brought the Italian in.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So funny enough, when Jimmy moved here from Chicago, that's a big part of his upbringing too, is Chicago and, the Midwest, the food, everything. He's such a nut. He's such a freak about everything, but that's what keeps our recipes consistent and quality driven. That's it. I mean, it has to be consistent. When you come in for that bolognese or that lasagna, you want the exact one that you had last time. Yep. And that's how his brain works. It has to be like that. So Jimmy, when he came here from Chicago, was 13. And when he was 15, he started working at an Italian restaurant in Lakewood called Garamoni's. And it's still there, by the way. And funny enough, the guy who runs it, he actually hired him when he was like 19 years old, because he worked for the restaurant for a while. But that's where he learned a lot of his back of house skills, meaning the oven, the prep, dish, everything, learning those skills. And he always says too, his favorite quote to say is, "Don't piss off the dishwasher. You may work for him one day." And, Jimmy was the dishwasher. He was the cook. He was the oven. He was everything. Right.
Yeah.
But he had such a love for it, such a passion. And when I met him, it'll be 31 years ago in May of next year. And when I met him, he was just getting ready to start at an Italian restaurant called Pasta's Italian Restaurant. It was in Littleton, across from Southwest Plaza off of Bowles, in between Kipling and Wadsworth, tucked away down low, almost kind of how we are, tucked away down low, right? Mm-hmm. And it was a Sicilian restaurant. So he had a northerner, a southerner on each side of him, yapping, yelling, screaming, all the things that Italians do. But he shut his mouth and he listened and he learned and he cooked so great. And he was there for about 7 years. And then he went on to do other things for corporate. And we've had a lot of experiences along the way. But one thing's always remained: his love for food, his passion for how it has to be. And because he's at the restaurant, he's not retired. He doesn't have to cook anymore technically, but he's there. And he does all the caterings right now. Like, that's his job. He's in the catering room. He works there with Luke. Luke is our catering manager. He's there with Luke. He's making sure everything is done right and that it's going to be presented properly. But he still makes sure that the guys in the kitchen, the saute guys, Jose and Ulysses and Adrian and Luke and, everybody, that just, that they are all adhering to the recipes and the presentation and everything is right. It comes back to, you've got to lead by example. You have to be there, because if they don't see you there and nobody cares about it and nobody is staying on top of you about what you're doing, well, what are you doing this for? Come on now.
Yeah.
And we're instilling this in others, because obviously Jimmy and I we're not going to manage our whole entire lives. We want to retire at some point. So we're instilling in the people that are there right now to be exactly the same way. And they are because they love it.
Yeah,
you pay them well and you treat them well. And I feel like that's what we do.
Yeah, that's exactly right. If they didn't want to be there, if it wasn't what they wanted to do, if they didn't want to apprentice under your way, they wouldn't be there. So
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Because hey, I've told my people before I go, do you think I think that everybody likes me there? Oh God, no. I don't think everybody likes me, but they're still working for me.
right.
And they haven't left to go anywhere. They respect me and I respect them.
Yeah.
And it, we all have different personalities.
Yeah.
We don't have to like everybody,
Right.
but we all work together for the same goal. And that's to make sure that the customers that walk through our doors know that they're acknowledged, they feel special, and they leave feeling like, wow, I spent my money on something worthwhile tonight.
Yeah.
And that's how it should be.
That's exactly right. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, Lasinda, we could probably keep going on and on. This is just so
God, I
exciting.
could talk to you for days.
It's so fun.
I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh.
If there are any listeners who I wouldn't think there might be, but there might be some who listen, tell us where Cranelli's is, how to get a hold of it, where to find it. You're on the shows on TV or on social media, everywhere.
Absolutely.
So tell us just a
Yeah.
little bit about that, and then I guess we'll have to sign off until I see you in Cranelli's in a week or two for our Christmas, our company Christmas dinner, right?
Exactly. I can't believe we're actually less than 2 weeks. I mean, that's just nuts, I tell you.
I know it. Yep, exactly.
I appreciate it. Well, I'm sure. Okay. So everybody should know we're in Lone Tree. And I know everybody pretty much knows about social media. If you just go to Google and you Google either one Italian restaurants in Lone Tree, will pop right up. Cranelli's, you'll see me and Jimmy's face. We're literally just right off of Park Meadows Drive and in between Lincoln and Yosemite. So it's just one big drive. It's about 1 mile long exactly. But with the physical address, 10047 Park Meadows Drive, again, Lone Tree. But social media, just Google us, Google Cranelli's Italian Restaurant. And my website has all the information. Parking, you're going to think sucks, but it doesn't. If you know the right information, you can park anywhere. And yes, I mean anywhere. The only ones you ever have to worry about are the ones that right up front that actually have the business name on them. Just make sure they're closed when you park there. All the rest that say retail or future resident, you can park there and do your due diligence, because so many folks won't. They just think that if they don't find one up front, that parking sucks. And it's like, come on now. We all have legs and we can all walk. And especially when we're done eating a nice, yummy pasta meal, it actually does us pretty darn good to walk. We walk everywhere in Chicago when we go back there. We actually will take an Uber there and then we walk home 2-3 miles because it just feels good,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so website can give you all the information. If you call in 303-799-3661, listen to my voicemail my voice that comes on, because that gives you great info. Once you've heard it though, press any button to get somebody. It'll tell you on there on the prompts. But yeah, that's how you find us.
Well, I hope everybody that's listening finds you if they haven't already, because it's worth it.
Thank you for everything. This has been so great to do this. Thank you, Judy.
Yeah, really been an enjoyable time. Thank you so much, Lasinda.
Well, it's my pleasure. I really appreciate it. And I know I'll be talking to you very soon.
Okay. Sounds good. Take care.
All right. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks, Judy. All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for joining us for the Inspired Impact podcast. To listen to past episodes, please visit theinspiredimpactpodcast.com.